Hi, everyone. Welcome to EDU429. I'm Professor Sheldon. I've had many of you in class before. I just want to welcome you to day one of our course and also say how thankful I am that you are flexible to have our first 2 days of class online instead of face-to-face. So for those of you that didn't see the message or didn't know, I am taking my comps exam for my doctorate. And as soon as I pass that, then I get to work on my dissertation. So I am doing that on Monday morning at 8 o'clock all the way until Wednesday night at 5 p.m. when it is due. So I just want to welcome you to class and say thanks again for being flexible. This class, since I have you from 11:10 to 12:40, Monday and Wednesday, it will take approximately that amount of time to get through the work that we're going to do through this video. So we will just get started. So welcome to EDU429. This is your capstone. You should have picked up from the School of Education front desk a first day packet. And in that first day packet, I know it's thick, but you have everything in there that you really need to be successful. There's a couple of additional things that you're welcome to access on Blackboard, but really that first day packet should ground you and show you that you have all the tools you need to really be successful in this course. So I really wanted to set you up to do well. And my goals in this course are for you to really, truly get the learning that you need so that you are a prepared teacher. All right, so in your first day packet, if you could skip to the syllabus, we're going to go through the syllabus a little bit. We really have just a few short things to talk through during our time together, but it's really going to be about you doing the work, right? So Ron Richard says, the person doing the work does the learning. So that's what happens, hopefully, in this course. So a couple of things, we're going to do introductions, which I gave you a very brief intro of who I am. We're going to go through the main tenets of the course and the syllabus. And then we're going to talk a little bit about homework and where you want to go from there. All right, so just a little bit brief background on myself for those of you that haven't had me as a professor before. Like I said, my name is Professor Sheldon. Please call me Professor Sheldon. Don't call me Dr. Sheldon. I'm not there yet. A year and a half-ish. We'll see how it goes. So that being said, I have been a teacher for a long time. I taught elementary and middle school, and after teaching at those multiple levels, I then had the opportunity to be a consultant for Jackson County ISD. And when I worked for the ISD, I did professional development for all levels of teachers, from early childhood 0 to 5 range all the way up through high school and at the college level. So I really have a wide range of expertise in terms of age level, but then also in content. So my expertise ranges from everything from curriculum and instruction to assessment, data and grading and technology. I also did a lot of work with the State Department and in other counties other than Jackson. So for example, I still consult externally with lots of school districts. So last semester in the spring, I helped one school district redo their mathematics curriculum. This year, I'm working with South Lyon School District on redoing their grading policies and practices. So after I was a consultant for Jackson County ISD, I had really missed teaching and had the opportunity to come be a professor. So it was definitely God's will that brought me here. And I've been here this is my 6th year. And then on the side, I also do for other professional developments still and consulting for districts all across the state, and I'm working on my doctorate. And I do have a real life also, so I have 2 wonderful kiddos, Amari, who is 3 years old, and she's just a really vibrant kid, and I have a 7-year-old son, Wilson, who is in 2nd grade and loving it. He's very, very curious, and he's amazingly intelligent about the way things work, and it's just wonderful to watch him learn. I have a husband, his name's Nick, and you might see him on campus. He's very good about coming and bringing me out to lunch since I forget to eat sometimes. So we've been married for 13 years, and that's a little bit about the personal side of me. I love water sports and exercise when I have time for it, and just trying new adventurous things. All right, so that's a little bit about me. I really do want to get to know you, so take the time that you can, and if I engage you in questioning, it's because I want to get to know you. Excuse me. So a couple other things as we get into this class. This class is really, it's a capstone. So that means that it covers these huge, huge topics, but these are not the first time that you have heard these. I am going to pause this for a second and get some water. Okay. Thanks for being patient on that. I don't know what got in my throat. So, so that being said, we have three areas. We have classroom management, which is really the foundation to everything else, because if you can't manage your class, how are you going to teach? So we spend quite a bit of time on classroom management, and I really see that as the link between these other things. You can't just have classroom management, though, without content and teaching and learning. You can't just have teaching and learning without other things. So we also have a section on instruction and what the best practices are for that. And then the third piece is probably the hardest piece for everybody, because it is assessment, data, and grading. And these are areas that usually people don't go into teaching for. They're not like, woohoo, I get to grade things. So, and it's not really something that you've gone in depth in. Maybe you have been graded yourself, or maybe you've taken a lot of assessments, but in terms of crafting them and making sure that it's a quality practice, most people haven't had the in-depth training that they need. So we will spend time doing that. So those are really the three things. And it's not really about, creating a product that mimics what I've done. That's not what this is. This is, here's the research. You know your own experiences, you've seen other teachers. Now take all of those things and synthesize it into making it make sense for you and for who you are as a teacher. So this is about solidifying and deepening your actual beliefs and knowledge at a level that you've never done before, which I'm sure you've probably heard stories from other former students about the depth of our work in here. So that's really, those three capstone pieces all come together by the way we do the work in here. And the way we do that is through a professional learning community. So we are now a team in our course, and we will work collaboratively. I strongly believe that we are smarter together than we are apart. And when you are part of a real classroom or a real school, you will be a part of a community and a culture, maybe one that you have more or less control over. But in here, we want to mimic that culture, and that's one of collaboration. All right, so that being said, let's look at our syllabus. If you can pull that out of your first day packet. You're adult learners. I don't need to read the syllabus to you. The rest of our time that we have today is really going to be you on your own going through the first day handouts and going through the syllabus. So what I want to point out is we have to have our textbooks. We will use both textbooks. They were required. And make sure you have the right editions. We're going to skip all this part that you guys love reading. And like I said, it's your job to read this, not mine. But I was extremely detailed in it because I want you to know exactly what I expect. Okay, I do have a very clear attendance policy. And then here are all of your assignments. So your why teaching paper, which is your first piece of homework, is an essay, okay, and there's a whole rubric for that you can find on Blackboard. And what we're going to do is, in the past, I've had profiles that would either be online or binder-based, and this year, because we have a new initiative for technology, all of your profiles are going to have to be in some online platform. The home page that links those platforms together is going to be where your why teaching paper goes. And we'll be updating that throughout the semester, but you at least have to have the why teaching paper there, and then we'll improve it as we go. So these are all of your assignments, and here's my grading. I do have a redo policy, but I would be very careful with that because I really think of the quote, if you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it over? If you turn in something that is subpar because you said, I just didn't have the time, to me, that's not valid reasoning. So if you don't have the time to do it well now, you don't have the time to do it over again. So you need to make this a priority. Now, if some emergency happens or you didn't get the learning that you needed and you have a plan for relearning that information, then I would be more open to this redo. So read that carefully and make sure it makes sense to you. The last piece that I want to point out in your syllabus is that every single day in our class is already very planned. And it's always structured in what's due today, what our class will be made of, and what your homework is. So you can see you have homework tonight. You have some readings that you need to do. And then you're going to set up your online platform so that you can put your Why Teaching paper there. You're going to post your Why Teaching paper there and hopefully write it first and then post. You have an option to do guided notes. And it's really important that you read the contract and the whole syllabus very carefully. That's your homework. Okay? So right now, if you want to pause our video, I would take time now to go through and pause and read the syllabus in depth. Mark it up. If you have questions, in Blackboard, I have a space for you in our discussion board to write any questions that you want. So if you have syllabus questions, I want you to post them here. Okay, and so if you want your questions answered before signing your life away on the contract, this is where you post the questions and I will respond as soon as I can. I want all of your questions answered. Okay, so that is, I'm going to come back to our homepage on this. That's the basics of the course. We talked about what our 3 capstone areas are. We talked about the syllabus. We talked about being a professional learning community to make sure that you get the learning that you need. We are smarter together than apart. You're reading through the syllabus, making sure you're understanding that. I do want to point out one other thing. In Blackboard, under Course Basics, you will find obviously the syllabus, but this is the most important file you will probably get into here. So you can see I have other tabs, like a tab for classroom management, a tab for assessment, grading, and data, and so forth. But really this is huge. So in Course Basics, in Assignments, Profiles, and Rubrics, you will see all of our assignments and exactly what I expect. Okay, now I've given you all the profile, anything that says profile, I've given you that hard copy in your first day packet. So use those. But in here you'll find like the Why Teaching, all of that. Please do not turn them in Blackboard. I'll say that again, don't turn them in Blackboard. I want hard copies of these. Sorry, I want you to follow the directions is what I want you to do. So some of these are just web pages, but there usually is a rubric that you have to fill out. So read what you have in hand and process it and ask questions if you don't get it. Okay, so make sure that you have access to Blackboard. You know where a discussion board is. You know where your rubrics and things can be found. And then these are other tabs that you can explore. So that is our wrap up for day 1. And feel free to pause it or be done with day 1. Don't forget you do have homework. Let me bring up that again. You do have homework. So if you've read the syllabus and you're really confident in it, we're going to hold off on goal setting. We're going to talk about the goals of this course for yourself when you guys come back on day 3. But you'll need to go read the Wong and Wong. These are what the guided notes look like. You can find these online or make your own notes, but that will really set you up for success for day 2. So do your reading and do your Why Teaching and set up your initial platform. I don't really care whether it's a Weebly or Wix or what kind of site it is, as long as you're confident with it. okay? And again, download those rubrics if you need them. So let's pause there, do your work, and come back when you're ready for doing day 2. All right, so day 2, we're going to start day 2 now, I guess. Day 2 is really, really simple. Day 2 is about applying what you read from Wong, and it's about making connections. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go to Blackboard. You're going to go to our discussion board, and you can see that there's a required assignment for day 2, and you're going to just do a really simple post. It's going to have 5 very important points in it, and for each very important point, you are going to include a direct quote. You're going to rephrase the very important point in your own words, and then make connections there. Okay, so there's the details for that, and this is where it goes. Once you have that done, I want you to take a break from thinking about Wong and Wong and go to your, in your first day pack, you had a classroom management profile rubric, along with a lot of other handouts. But take that rubric and read through it. And you're going to read it in great depth, mark it up, ask questions, all those kinds of things. Feel free to post questions about that rubric in the general questions section. And then you had another handout in your first day packet that's bright green, and it says something on the top like avoid plagiarism. And it talks to you about APA and giving credit where credit is due. And then what it asks you to do is, or what it gives you is what Weebly links to other people's profiles. So I want you to look and investigate other people's profiles, their classroom management profiles, and start to do a compare and contrast between their profiles and your rubric. It's going to help you see and make sense of your classroom management profile rubric and what I'm expecting for that. You'll see that it's broken down into parts and components, and by looking at the rubric and comparing them to samples, you're going to start to understand that better. So feel free to pause this, access both the rubric and the samples, and really dig into those. Feel free to do this with somebody else from class or someone that's been in class before and get their vantage point, but I want you to start processing those rubrics. This is not a time for you to feel overwhelmed, okay? So please don't stress out. We are going to walk through every part of that rubric to make sure that you have theory behind what you're doing, that you understand lots of different ways to manage your class, and then you solidify your beliefs. So we will spend a substantial amount of time doing this together. This is just the introduction, so please don't be overwhelmed. I'm scaffolding you in to understanding and being able to complete the full experience. Okay, so feel free to pause and then come back when you are ready for the next piece after you've processed the classroom management profile rubric. Okay. All right, so if you've done your reading and if you've processed the classroom management profile rubric, then you should be able to do this last required activity for the day. And it's not a very hard one. All I'm asking you to do is to make a connection between the reading and the rubrics. And I've given you a sample post here. Okay, so it can be 2 sentences, and that's plenty. Okay, however long or short you want it to be, but we're just looking for a connection. What is it that Wong and Wong say that is going to directly help your understanding or make sense with your classroom management profile? Okay, so I gave you an example here, and I'd like this post to be done by the end of class on Wednesday also. Okay, if you have any other questions or concerns, let me know. When we start back together, we will be face-to-face for an official kickoff on Monday, September 19th. You do have lots of other handouts in your first day pack, so feel free to go back and review those. And you obviously can go back to your syllabus and see that after Wednesday's class and you've made your connections and you've done your investigation, you have some more Wong and Wong readings to do. And you need to come on Monday with your syllabus contract signed, and you can see how we're spending our time on Monday. So thank you so much for being flexible again and allowing me to do an asynchronistic learning opportunity with you so I can do my comps exam. I really, truly hope that we have a great semester together, and I will continue to do the best I can for you and to support your learning. So thank you, and I can't wait to meet all of you. Bye-bye.